Hey, here we go. Yeah, I think it should let me switch to a different window. Uh, so I'm a little late coming on today, as I mentioned in the title, because I was trying to participate in the qualifier for the one of the UFIX tournaments, and just for fun. I'm not really hoping to win that badly. I mean, of course, it would be nice, but even if I did, I don't know if I would qualify for the prize. Anyways, so I I was thinking of trying to make a live stream for around this time to kind of make so that people will be notified that it won't be at the usual time. So I apologize to anybody who came on earlier and tried to catch me but didn't see me on. Yeah, I think it still streams if I keep this on open on the different window where I look at the notes. All right, so we on Sunday we had a message called "Just Keep Dipping." And the main idea, like the main theme, was just kind of like how sometimes you try something one time and it doesn't work, but sometimes you just gotta be persistent and just keep on trying the same action again and again. And we go for the narrative from Second Kings 5:1 to 10. So if you can follow the description in the link. I can't share the screen in this recording mode. So I think you can if you are using certain software and redirecting it to YouTube, but I'm not. I haven't really found or purchased any software for that right now. So um, I don't have that option on my live streams. But if you guys would drop me a comment, if you prefer that I just pre-record them so I can share the screen with my other program, just let me know. I also put these as not kid friendly. So if that's a problem, because the only thing is, I think if I put a kid friendly, like nobody can chat with me on the and there's not going to be a chat stream like here. As you can see, I just post a message, "Hello everyone." So I don't think you can do that, and if it's not a if it's not if it's made for kids video option that I select. So anyways, let's read the passage. 2 Kings 5:1 to 10. Now Naaman was the commander of the army of the king of Ammon. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Ammon. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now band saw Ammon had gone out and taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who was in Samaria, he would cure him of leprosy." Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means go," the king of Ammon replied. "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 7,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, "With this letter, I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? What does this fellow send? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he's trying to pick a quarrel with me?" When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent them this message: "Why have you torn your robes? Has the man come to me and he may know that there is a prophet in Israel?" So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him: "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed." So I guess the key highlight here would be that the last verse there, Elisha sent a message himself: "Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and cleansed." Because maybe like in other instances that people only need to wash once or twice, But in this specific instance, the directive from God was you had to be wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan. And then, after the seventh time, your flesh will be restored and you'll be cleansed of this leprosy. Is that what you said, right? Yeah. So in verse 6, you may cure him of his leprosy. So this is what they wrote is the main idea. I don't have anything scheduled for after, even though I do have other things I need to tend to. But I probably can go a little longer today than last week. So I will actually read this out. The main idea, even though I did kind of memorized. I did kind of reiterate the main idea earlier at the beginning about how sometimes we got to keep persistence and keep on trying what could possibly cure us or help us to overcome whatever difficulties we're going through. Anyway, so this is what they wrote as the main idea. A commander, a king, a prophet, and a slave all walk into a Bible story, specifically Naaman's story. While you will suspect that those with impressive titles will play a leading role in the story, there are some surprises. Oftentimes, we think that our status determines our worth, but God isn't impressed with our title. He doesn't need our title to tell a story when we allow our title to become our identity. It goes against his plan. On the outside, Naaman was powerful, having everything he wanted, but not what he needed. He needed to be cured of leprosy, a skin disease considered unclean. The king of Israel, for example, despite being king, just didn't know what to do. He panicked. Yet, it was the bold faith of the slave girl who set the course for Naaman's miracle in motion. This goes to show we can't let the pride of the titles we hold or lack thereof deter us from what God wants to do in our lives. God doesn't need our position. He wants our faith. Naaman did get his healing, but if he held on to his title, held on to his pride, it would have ended differently. We may not have heard of his story today. It may have ended differently, and we may not have heard of his story today. It takes humility to follow through on what God instructs, but just think, it could be your obedience to God's process that tells your story for generations to come. Will you trust the process before you have proof of the progress? Earthly vanity steals a heavenly remedy. So I will basically pretty much just read everything from this handout online, except maybe for the announcements, and definitely also give you my my on the spot answers to some of these questions for whatever I can think of. I did kind of want to go through the questions before coming live, but I didn't get around to it. I was busy trying to get the computer and everything set up for the tournament. They wanted me to upgrade the graphic driver, which might help with the lag, but I couldn't do it. Long story. It's not really relevant. Earthly vanity steals a heavenly remedy. Frequently, our desire to give up an investment, an effort, or a relationship is preceded by it's not what I thought. Naaman gets angered by the simplicity of God's request to dip into Jordan because he thought he deserved something better. With pride and entitlement, an offense come easily. Okay, I guess I should read that with a different tone. With pride, entitlement, and offense come easy. No, I think it's just not really grammatically fluent. Yeah, I totally don't understand that very well. That last sentence just says, "With pride, entitlement, and offense come easy." I guess they're saying those things come easy, and then should be like maybe a semicolon or a comma instead. Anyway, yet God's solutions require humility and obedience, which are fundamental. Don't let vanity rob you of the remedy. Pride will have you prescribing your own remedy. Don't let it get in the way of your miracle. You aren't moving forward until you change how you think. Obedience is basic, and basic isn't minor. The big person never refuses the small task. Share a time when a breakthrough came through in an unexpected way. Oh, I guess like well, one thing, I don't know, not really. Well, a few times I realize is that because sometimes I apply for work, online, and then I try to see what turns up. But sometimes I discover that what also may work sometimes is if you just make it known publicly that you're looking for work. Sometimes some people might actually reach out to you and let you know that they could potentially use someone. And then maybe you sometimes can also land jobs that way. So that I would consider somewhat unexpected. So sometimes that doesn't always occur. I mean, sometimes I have landed jobs in a more traditional way as well, where I would just be like, oh, I send out a resume or fill in an application somewhere, and then I get the job that way. Or even I sometimes go to a career fair, and then they tell me about what opportunities they're currently hiring for, and you fill in an application form, and they will probably if they like what they see, they'll set up an interview, and then you just you interview and you get the job. Most of the time that when people tell me that there's a job opportunity from word of mouth, I still end up doing an interview of some sort, or at least a conversation about the job before actually starting the job. So which is kind of usually at its core, that's what a job interview really is. It's a conversation about the job. That's kind of a two-way exchange, kind of to kind of see to kind of gauge whether or not this job would be appropriate for the person who's in the conversation, so to speak, or in the interview, I guess. So I guess that's kind of what I can think of off the top of my head. Again, if I had maybe taken a few days earlier to look at these, the only problem is sometimes these are not updated on Sunday. And I'm coming in on Tuesday trying to do this because sometimes they're not updated. Sometimes on Sundays when I check it, it's still showing last week's notes. So then I can't really have that much advance notice. But if I had a bit more advanced notice, I might have decided to think of a different answer for that. But that's what I can come up with right now. Earthly persistence is part of the heavenly process. Number two. If Naaman would have stopped in his sixth dip in the river, he wouldn't have received the healing. Even though he got through most of the process, to be sure we follow God's process, we have to stick with the fundamentals of our faith, being diligent in putting God first, obeying Him, praying to Him, and loving Him. God responds to our persistence. Breakthrough comes through the sovereignty of God and the responsibility of man. Spiritual greatness doesn't happen in a day, it happens daily. Yeah. Commitment says, if I don't see a miracle, I'll keep being faithful. If you're persistent, you'll get it. If you're consistent, you'll keep it. Where has persistence shown its fruit in your life? I mean, the first time I heard about this word, it's sort of like in sports, because I remember we used to play badminton at a friend's church. And me and this younger guy, we teamed up against this older couple, and we lost a lot of matches. They were very experienced. I mean, yes, they were older than us, but I think they've played a lot of badminton in their years, and they're definitely beating us quite a bit. But at the last game, we actually kind of beat them on a margin, and the gentleman was like, oh, your persistence, you paid off. You guys finally won. I think after the third or fifth game, whatever it was, we had quite a number of games, because I guess we actually I think at that time we had a time slot. We had to take shifts because there was too many people on that needed the courts. So maybe we only had 15, 20 minutes, or maybe sometimes it goes half an hour if there's less people, there's less rotations. But like, yeah, we finished quite a number of games in that rotation. Simply because the first few we lost pretty badly. Um, so basically, when when we kept at it, eventually, we did win the one game. So that's why it's like, oh, your persistence paid off. And I think the same thing like when I'm playing hockey, in sports. I actually first started playing ice hockey because like I was playing floor hockey and like and like they like the group like they only wanted some other guys to go in net for them and not like that normally would go in for net for them that maybe don't even have to register in the program and then like and then like they're saying, oh, they've been regular goalies for 5 years or whatever. So I felt rejected, but then eventually I just like, whatever, I'll just like I'll just like free market myself off and start playing some ice hockey. And then at first I wasn't really good. I mean, I had to get used to playing on skates. I mean, I had played in rollerblades in the past, but maybe it's not quite the same. And eventually, like you realize in ice hockey, you can slide and everything, so it's a lot different. I end up also reading. I end up also reading Brian Elliott's not Brian Elliott. I'm sorry, Brian Eli. I mean Eli Wilson's book on growth tending here. And started really getting into like doing being on the ice like multiple times a week for some years. I remember like there was a stretch where I would be like sometimes I would do like I could do like 2 hours on Friday and then an hour on Saturday and like an hour and a half on Sundays. Like I had like a regular arrangement with some groups, and I would get up there and eventually like, all that persistence, I developed the skills and like and then I started getting better. Even though I started getting older at the same time, but like kind of like those badminton players, so like in a sense. So like that was another example of my persistence has shown its fruit in my life. Summary: as humans, at times we see more value in one person over another. Our faculty view can seep into our thoughts on how God sees us, but God is not a receptor of persons. He sees us all as his children whom he loves, and can use any of us in any way he chooses. God's purpose for our lives may not look like what we thought it would. We must set our perspectives and pride to the side, listen to what God has to tell us, and be obedient to his voice. When we live a life of humility, our knowledge of God says we can, and our faith in God says we will, and our commitment to God says, even if he doesn't, I'll remain faithful. Don't miss out on the mission God has for your life because of what you thought it should be. Grand gestures aren't always needed to serve a mighty God. Be faithful where you are and see the blessing of God. So call to action, and then I'll do some announcements, not necessarily their announcements, but some announcements about the channel. So call to action. What breakthrough have you been waiting on? Seek God again. Pray that he gives you the faith and persistence to step into the process and see the miracle through. So yes, as I mentioned, I think last week as well, I am going to do my next monthly video. Now that I'm having a lot of things I want to take care of. So the next monthly video should be. I don't know if I maybe am a little bit behind or late, and I was supposed to come up one the end of June, but I kind of lost track. But I'll definitely come up one before the end of July. I may have made an announcement on the date on when that was coming out. Definitely, it's going to be I think either next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. But because I was late on this one, to make it up, I will actually probably just release the video next Wednesday. So you could look for it. There will be a premiere announcement soon, maybe in a few days, when I get time to record it, and you'll see that when it's coming out. So that'll be the official release date for this month's video, and it'll help me hopefully to just kind of reveal some of the Hebrew for the upcoming midterm I have as well. Yeah, and then I'll post also some in the video some resources of for learning languages. Yeah, because I found a program that I've been using, Duolingo, and I'll talk about that in that video too. All right, so it looks like that we're already at 20 minutes. Even though I said I might go a little longer today, but it's okay. But so hopefully, if you're watching this, not live, because I don't think anybody's watching it live right now, you still get something out of it. And thanks for watching. And I'll see you in my next video, maybe.